Go. You do the countdown.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. This is part two, a special part two of today's weekly Roger Hansen's Minds Roundtable weekend event. We had so much fun that Mark came back after dinner on a full stomach, so we're ready to go to round two. So we decided to come back. And since we come back, Friday night, chit-chatting, friends, talking among ourselves about what we had for dinner. We might as well stream it and record it on Roger's channel for everybody to watch if you're interested. So, yeah. Part two of episode 13 of Roger Hansen's Minds Weekend Roundtable begin. So,
All right. I've got an idea too. If we
ready.
if we go like 4 hours, we can freaking invade Jaffe's freaking stream with us.
We go
And
4 hours from here, but
yeah,
from
Hours.
now. 4 hours. So that'll be
three.
like midnight my time.
That'll be
poor
4 a.m. my time.
poor Mark could be
Your time.
poor Mark could be
You don't
passed
need to
out.
sleep. You have to be Mark. You have to be on Jaffe's stream, right?
No, I do.
Thank
I'm
God I've got
Oh,
coffee.
Roger. I see. Roger does. You don't. You don't.
I'm
Okay.
I'm in some weird
Isn't it
thing called
3 hours time?
it's
Um,
6 in 4 hours it'd be 10 o'clock here, and that's when Jeffy
yeah.
starts.
No, isn't it 3 hours time?
Yeah, three and
In
3
3 hours
hours
time.
and 3 hours and 40 minutes. 3 hours
Oh,
and 39
bye-bye.
minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
So
But
like 4 hours.
I'm like in some weird thing called the freaking crow's nest, and I don't know what that is, but it does not sound good. You know what I mean? Like it sounds.
What are you talking about?
I mean, he said you're in the crow's nest, so
Oh,
Mr.
oh, that's
Robot,
where that's his cave?
I guess he said that he's doing Robot's interview, and I'm in the crow's nest. So
Okay. Oh, so robots. So he's doing robots interview and you're joining
yeah, he's
to
not gonna know
participate.
what to expect. Mr. Robot's gonna hit him like a ton of bricks. I mean,
Who's
Dibs here,
interviewing who? No, Jaffe's
Jaffe.
interviewing
Yeah,
robot, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Wait until he interviews him. Mr. Robot's gonna hit him like a ton of bricks. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I've had some really interesting conversations with him. I don't know how he's going to be able to handle it because he's all into the like politics stuff. You know what I mean? Like the far
Jaffe is or robot is?
Jeffy is,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
and
So
well,
Jaffe's interviewing robot, right?
right. So it's gonna
And
be
robot's gonna interview him back?
no. He's
Okay. Yeah, okay. So you're saying robot doesn't is not gonna know what Jaffe's
no. It's the other way around. Like robot's gonna talk about some interesting stuff.
Oh
Now,
yeah, okay, yeah.
I know he's kind of okay with some of it because he let me and what's his name? I forgot his name. He's always going on a show too, talk about aliens and stuff the other day. So
Okay.
he's kind of okay with that, and I know he has he's okay with dreams and stuff. You know what I mean? Like dream interpretations, but
Mhm.
me and Robot. Like I did my ancient history stuff, and Robot would barge in talking about Atlantis and shit. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Well, that guy seems to be very knowledgeable. He's doing a lot of different areas.
yeah, he does. He
You look at all the groups that he created.
and
Jeez.
what was it? His ancient history when I post in there, and he has a lot of good stuff that he puts in there too. But the
Mm.
conspiracy thing is where he shines at because I think if he honed in on some of them, he could get more precise. But I think the topics he could come up with if he'd actually start his own stream would be pretty good. So I was talking to Mark about it
Mm.
earlier, and he's talking about the black nobility. You know,
The black nobility.
yeah, that's the Catholic Church. How the Jesuits in the Catholic Church,
Oh, the black pope you were talking about earlier.
right? You know,
Okay, okay.
no, like I was telling him about something I did a while back, and it was the Order of the Golden Fleece. You know,
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard of them before,
No,
but that's cool
I've
shit.
heard of the Jason and the Golden Fleece.
The Order of the Golden Fleece. Let me double check. Now you got me guessing. I'm like,
Is that anything related to Greek mythology?
no, this is the Holy Roman Empire. It was a secret order among the nobles, and the whole object.
The Holy Grail was the thing.
And,
I don't know about Golden Fleece.
yeah,
11th, 12th century, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, by 11th or 12th century.
and they just broke up one of the sects within the last 200 years, but I think the one in Spain is still going. They
Oh, wow. Okay, there is such a thing.
Is it Golden of Fleece?
Order of the Golden Fleece. Yeah.
Yep,
15th century.
yep. It's
Okay.
it's
Mm.
full blown 100%. It's the real deal. You know.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I was
I've
that's the
never
kind of
heard of.
stuff. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I got into, like, because it's not only a lot about like the secret societies, but it's a side of it that people don't really know about. Like they always talk about Freemasons and stuff, but they don't know anything
Right.
about this, you know.
Right.
Mm.
Okay.
So
Well, you talked about this where? Which stream?
on my it's on my YouTube. I did this shit years ago. I mean,
Uh,
like I've been interested in that stuff for a long time now. So
founded by Philip the Good, Duke of Burgundy.
yeah, he don't get me started on him.
All right, you've already done it, but I'm just curious.
Now
First time I've heard this.
I can tell you that this guy did this just because of his wife. He married a Spanish princess, I believe it was.
Isabella of Portugal.
Yeah, and the reason why he created the fleece was because it was in ceremony of his wedding to her.
Okay.
So,
Is
and
this when chivalry got started?
no, chivalry started back whenever they first started the order. Brothers, um, like you know how everybody over in like England and France and Germany and all that think that they're like their own separate areas.
Right.
Well, the truth is like their royalty was actually family members. You see what I mean? So
Hmm.
the royals were all descendants of I forgot the guy uh, who started the Holy Roman Empire. I forgot his name, but they're all descendants from him. And well, today
The guy that started the
Holy
Holy
Roman.
Roman Empire isn't it Caesar, Julius Caesar?
Oh no, there's a see. That's another misconception. Everybody thinks that's like Rome. The Roman Empire and the Holy Roman Empire aren't even close to the same.
Oh,
Hmm.
oh, the Holy Roman. I was thinking like Constantine.
No,
Yeah.
Constantine. Constantine is the one who created the Byzantine Empire when he split away from. He split
Rome.
the Roman Empire into two parts. You had the East and then you had the West.
Well, he's the guy that made the Christianity the official religion of the Roman Empire.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So isn't that when the Roman Empire becomes the Holy Roman Empire?
No. The
Okay.
Holy the Holy Roman Empire came about after the fall of Rome.
Oh, okay.
Um, the Roman Empire fell, and that's when Europe went through the Dark Ages.
Okay.
So when people are talking about like the Dark Ages, they're talking about when Rome fell and the technology that was given to Europe because of the technology Rome had kind of dwindled and broke down, and then they had to start coming up with their own stuff. So during
The
that time,
Western,
yeah,
sorry, the Western and Western Rome rather than Rome, because remember East Rome survived for another 1,000 years.
mm-hmm.
I mean, until
Constant,
Constantinople, yeah.
yep.
Um,
I think they survived up until like I think it was like the 1500s.
yeah, yeah.
That's that's messed up. And then like the people who freaking sacked them literally lied about it and said the Ottomans did it. Okay, and it was like the freaking during the Holy Wars, like when the French and all them were freaking sending soldiers down into freaking Israel to fight against the Ottomans. They literally sacked a freaking Christian city because you know what I'm saying. I was like, why would you do that? That's ridiculous.
Mm.
Like they literally, I mean, Constantinople was a big deal. I mean, why would you do
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
They must have knew that the Jesuits were up to something insidious.
Really?
Yeah, they were.
Okay. That's how it ties into the Jesuits.
Yeah,
Mm, mm.
I, I, I'm
I mean,
I'm I'm gonna have to refer to Mr. Robot about all that. So,
hmm.
but yeah, I was gonna pull it up. The Holy Roman Empire, and I can get the the gist of it. Yeah, here we go. Um, just
European political entity. I'm bringing it up.
is it like on the Wikipedia?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah,
Also known as the Holy Roman Empire of the German nation after
Germany.
1512, was a
Yeah,
polity in Central and Western Europe, usually
usually headed by the Holy Roman Emperor,
emperor.
who was
Yeah,
the first one.
it developed in the early Middle Ages and lasted from almost 1,000 years, for almost 1,000 years until its dissolution in 1806 during the Napoleonic.
The Napoleonic Wars. Yeah.
That's
Mm,
pretty
mm.
long. Now, Pope
So
Leo III
Pope Leo
crowned
the Third.
Frankish
Yeah.
king, yeah,
Charlemagne.
Charlemagne. Yep,
Yeah.
and he
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
he
So he
was.
crowned him the emperor, the Roman emperor. Okay.
Yep,
Wow.
and all the kings and queens are supposed to was supposed to be the descendants of Charlemagne.
Mm. Like
So,
all the people from England are descendants of Charlemagne.
well, England is they're soiled. They're
What?
yeah, yeah, they're soiled.
Um, there was a wasn't it the quest of the Holy Grail, that movie that the Mark,
What is that?
familiar with
Um,
that? Uh, was that the quest of the Grail was the movie?
I'm
Was it
thinking of the
the
Monty Python
comedy?
one.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
Monty
Monty
Python.
Python
Yes,
one.
that's right.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
um, so the wasn't that something like the original founder of England was somewhere descendant of somebody?
That's Charlemagne. That's what they're
Some,
trying to say.
yeah.
They're saying,
Okay.
well, no, actually, I don't know about all that because like
Yeah.
England goes even farther back because
Right.
the Romans actually settled most of England,
Mm.
you know,
Mm. Mm.
and and no, I don't know because that even I couldn't tell you if the Vikings hit uh, the island first or if it was the Romans.
Vikings from the 9th century AD, and Romans obviously from the 1st century.
Yeah, so it would have been
Yeah.
the Romans.
Mm.
And so I mean, England was around before the Holy Roman Empire was even thought of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they went way back to early descendants of the early Christians, even.
Hmm.
You know.
Well,
Uh,
the the thing of it is like when I said that their Holy Family is like soiled is because of King Henry the Eighth, I think it was.
they.
King Henry. What's the name of that song? I am King Henry the Eighth. It's they've got that old limerick.
Um.
The Cockney thing.
Henry of the Eighth. I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Mm.
he was
Henry of the Eighth. I
Queen.
am.
He was Queen
I
Victoria
got
or
married to the
Queen
widow next
Elizabeth's
door.
daughter. Yeah. he was Queen. He was Queen
Who
Elizabeth's.
was?
Wait, no. Which one had the red hair? Was it Elizabeth or Victoria? The one that
I don't
everybody.
know. Mark.
Queen Victoria, Queen Elizabeth.
Uh,
It's not the one that was born in the last
Queen
100 years.
Victoria was Elizabeth's grandmother, wasn't
no, Elizabeth was the granddaughter.
Who's the
Uh,
daughter of
it?
Henry
Henry
VIII.
VIII.
Yeah,
She was,
yeah. With Mary.
and see, she was
Queen of Scots.
illegitimate, and a lot of people don't know that. Like she was the only one that actually survived out of all of his kids, and there wasn't really a lineage there. So, wait, no, hold up, wait, okay, yeah, and then what's her name? She was up in Ireland, and they do to this Bloody Mary. Mary,
Yeah, yeah. Queen of Scots. Scots.
yeah,
That was
she was actually the legitimate heir for the the throne, and that was through lineage. But if you go farther back, it gets even worse because of War of the Roses. Because
Hmm.
there was another issue there with the War of the
Queen
Roses.
Queen Elizabeth the First was the daughter of Henry VIII.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And every woman he ever was with, he got tired of them, and cut their heads off. He said, "I'm tired of you, bitch."
But Henry VIII was the one that broke away from the Roman Church, right?
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Because of his marriage to Anne Boleyn.
yeah. And he would. The Roman Church wouldn't allow him to divorce. So
Right.
he said. He said.
He wouldn't let him divorce Catherine of Aragon.
Yeah. And Boxing Catherine is a good movie if you haven't watched it, by the way. It's a really, really good movie. It's older, something that I wouldn't tell younger people to watch it. I'll put it to you that way. But
Okay.
I
So
think will
so
like it.
so Elizabeth the First was the daughter of Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn.
Yep.
So that's why you said she's kind of illegitimate.
Yeah. Because uh, Catherine and wait, no, I don't even think she's. Wait, yeah, she might be Anne Boleyn's. Is she the daughter of Anne
Just
Boleyn?
right
Does it
here.
say? Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah. Her. Yeah. Now he was the reason why she's illegitimate is because she wasn't recognized as
Right, because he was still married to Catherine of Aragon.
yeah. So and even um, after his death, like the Catholic Church was still around. Like they didn't get excommunicated from England until later on when they tried to
Mm,
bomb Queen Victoria or Queen Victoria or Elizabeth. I'm sorry. There was a bomb that was placed under the throne, and if she would have been there, she'd have been killed. And they blamed it on the Catholics, so they had to get the
uh,
Catholic. They
must
had to
have
get.
been the German.
I think it was the Catholics. I mean, those
No,
Catholics are
man, gotta
they're
be the Germans.
hardcore.
Germans are usually up to things like that.
When I
We
was
don't
in
have
school,
Germans in the audience, do we?
when I was in school, man, we used to freaking like get in a fight with the Catholic boys, and I'll tell you what, they can freaking punch, man. They used to,
Really?
yeah, they could. Catholics are fighters, and they play it off like they're all goody goody and shit, but they can freaking fight. I'm gonna tell you right now, they can fight.
Mhm.
Um, I remember on this one too. That's why I have my issues with Beethoven, or not Beethoven, but Shakespeare. Okay,
What, what issue you have with him?
Shakespeare doesn't exist. Like the guy that they're claiming is Shakespeare only has a seventh grade education.
So then who wrote all that great work?
It wasn't Shakespeare, not the guy.
Who is it?
Even on the contracts that he had to make, he
Mm,
spelled his name wrong. Okay,
mm.
like he could barely read. All right.
Well, so what? So there's some sort of genius back then that created all this great work and attributed it to William Shakespeare.
I think there was a whole group of them.
Oh, all right. Now we're into conspiracy theories.
No, I mean seriously, I think there was a whole group of them that did it together, because
Mm,
there was some of them like in the plays. Okay, everybody is real big on the plays when it comes to being or in England. Okay, so don't get me
mm,
wrong. A lot of people today respect it, but like back in the day, that wasn't the place where noblemen were supposed to be seen. You know what I mean? That was kind of
mm.
like the shady neighborhood that you didn't go into. You
You
know what
mean
I
the
mean?
theaters?
Yeah, the theaters. Like the nobles, they actually set up their own little concert area in the freaking palace and stuff so that they could
So,
watch them. They're in the palace. All right.
what's your source, man? You're an American. You talk. There's an Englishman
I
right
did
here.
the research. All you gotta do is read, man. I mean, it's like you just read this stuff, and
Yeah, but
then
it depends on the stuff that you read. It's not everything
Yeah,
you read is
precisely.
believable.
I'm reading stuff straight from freaking Mark Twain, dude. Who who
Oh, okay.
who
So Mark
personally
Twain says that William Shakespeare is a fake.
Mark Twain traveled to England, did the research. Freaking, who else? I just had a thing on him. Walt Whitman researched it. Freaking, even Emerson, who is Mr. Freaking Intellectual, freaking denounced Shakespeare.
Walter, Walter Emerson.
Yeah. No,
Mm.
Walt Whitman. And then freaking, Emerson is. I can get his name real quick.
15th
Emerson.
century. Let me see if Mark Twain ever met up with Shakespeare.
No, Mark Twain's from
No.
the 1800s.
Later.
Can't be
It's
a machine.
1800. Okay.
Yeah.
All
Mark
right.
Twain
But
is
how he's in the 1800? How the hell does he know that Shakespeare was a fake?
he
Precisely.
he checked the shipping logs. Okay, like for anybody who left England, they would have to freaking sign in and sign out on shipping. On the manifest for ships. Okay, you couldn't leave England without freaking putting a signature somewhere. Okay, now this man was
Okay.
able to write to be or not to be, and he was talking about Vemic law, okay, which is
Mm-hmm.
German. Okay,
Okay.
Mhm.
a man that freaking never left England would not know freaking about Vemic law because
Actually, that's
his
Prussian, not German.
He can read, can he?
Yeah, I have to remember Germany didn't become a sovereign country until 1870, whatever.
well, yeah,
Was
Mm.
well, the
technically younger than the
German,
US.
it would have been Prussia, Prussian law. So it'd probably be even a different name from that too, because well, no,
Yeah,
Prussia,
yeah, yeah. There were several states, several different
but
states.
Vemic law was prevalent in that area. Okay, and
You know,
and learning law in England, people in England, just the ordinary people, didn't learn about that. You had to go to one school in the entire country to freaking learn about law. All right. And guess what? William Shakespeare's name is not freaking written in any books pertaining to him learning law whatsoever. So, how did he know about these things? And a lot of his
Well,
writing is very, very uh, uh, what do they call that?
controversial?
Controversial during that time period because he speaks about law. He speaks about freaking things that happened in other countries that he wouldn't have known about. Um, and
But
then
so, but these writings were written during his lifetime. Yeah,
uh,
his book, the books that are attributed to him.
yeah, those right there are written, but even like the amount of words that are put into them, okay,
Yeah.
one person doesn't have a vocabulary that's a bit that's that large. I mean, his
well,
vocabulary was insanely large.
well, books can
Mm-hmm.
be written by transcripts can be written by multiple people. Doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
that Shakespeare didn't have an influence.
Mm-hmm.
There are
Also, you stated that there was only one school for law at the time, and I just checked. The University of Cambridge was founded in 1209,
it was the only
and
Mm-hmm.
the
one.
University of Oxford was founded in 1167.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Oxford
So,
did Oxford teach law though?
presume so.
Don't assume. You got to check it out. England was very precise. I mean, like you had to go to this college in order to learn
Actually,
this thing.
sorry, 1096, not 1167. Yeah, time at 1096.
Now, I believe Oxford was one of the first universities too, wasn't it?
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
Yale, I think, was in France, wasn't it?
Uh,
So there's a Wikipedia page about doubt of his authorship. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm reading here. It says an overwhelming majority of mainstream Shakespeare scholars agree that his authorship was not questioned during his lifetime, for 2 centuries afterwards.
You know why,
So
don't you?
certainly in the 20th century, Mark Twain or somebody came in
Well, you know
18th
why
century
though. You know why
and
it
they
wasn't.
started doubting his authorship.
You know why it wasn't questioned though, right? It was because Shakespeare was freaking idolized. He was almost turned into a godlike statue. Okay, you know where he's buried? Huh?
Where?
He's buried in a
Buckingham
church.
Palace?
He's
Oh,
buried in a church. They've got a mausoleum setting up in the freaking pew area where people can go and bow in front of him.
is he a member of the church?
I don't even know. It's never been mentioned.
Yeah.
Like, type in there and find out where Shakespeare is buried. They'll show you. They'll show you just Shakespeare's burial
Yeah.
site.
Yeah. Weird.
This is what makes it even
Very.
more weird. Okay,
Holy Trinity Church, Stratford.
Stratford
hmm.
of Avon. Now click on that real quick, and they'll freaking show you. Or images. Go to images. Up on
Images.
top. Click on images. There you
Holy
go.
Trinity Church is an Anglican church, is it?
Now you see that
Yeah.
statue right there, the first one.
This one?
That's the holy statue of Shakespeare. They literally go to that statue and they bow in front of him, dude.
Holy statue.
Holy
I
stuff.
see a member.
Mm.
See a member of the English church though. Why would they bury
Nobody.
them in the
Yeah,
Nobody.
church?
yeah. It was a Christian. It was a.
Okay, okay, that makes sense.
You see,
That
the
would make sense then.
the Shakespeare that lived in that area freaking didn't spell his name like that. Okay.
Okay. Well, I mean they
because
might
that's
have
modern. That's
spelled it in
modern
Old English.
interpretation. Yeah, that's modern interpretation.
Yeah, yeah. They had Old English, man.
Are you serious?
What?
Like-
You didn't know they had Old English?
It's not Shakespeare. Like his name was like Shakespeare or something like that. Like it didn't even say.
Yeah.
Okay.
It didn't even
Yeah.
say Shakespeare.
Oh, I see. Let's see. Maybe this. You mean in the tomb?
Uh huh. Like
I
the man
see.
they claim who was Shakespeare didn't even spell his name correctly, or like that.
He spelled it correctly for that time.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
Old English, or maybe. Okay. Shakespeare name spelled Old English. Let's see.
Let's see
Oh,
what
like this you mean? Shakespeare. Like that?
Yeah, maybe. Like,
What
hey,
was William
there's-
Shakespeare's original name?
No,
is-
hold up, go up. Don't move there. The original guy from Stratford, they're talking about it. Shakespeare's real name was recorded as William Shakespeare at his
Yep.
baptism in 1564.
William. Oh, this is how they spell William back then? Williamus. Williamus.
They called him
The Latin word for the William, man.
They called him
This
Will
right here.
in the sonnets of most of his
Oh.
contemporary referred to
It's
him
a
as
It's a Latin word for William.
No, up top. Scroll back up top and see what that first one says. It
The
says,
milder version.
The milder version
Elizabethan
of this claim
spelling.
was not
Elizabethan
absolute.
spelling of the Stratford man's name was Shakespeare.
Yeah, no. See,
Shakespeare.
that is the Stratford man who they're claiming is Shakespeare and who's in that
Ah,
tomb.
alright. The
Okay.
Stratford man's name.
Yeah. Now, see, they're trying to say that is Shakespeare.
Hmm.
Okay, he only had a 7th grade education.
This guy is,
Yeah.
or William Shakespeare.
Well, William Shakespeare doesn't exist. You gotta understand that.
I'm
Yeah.
just reading something from.
I feel like it's Friday night. I feel like I'm in Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I'm just reading something from Professor Sir Andrew Jonathan Bates, CBE, FBA, FRSL, who's a historian, well known, sort of known, British historian who would disagree with you.
What did he say?
He states that Shakespeare did exist.
He's a
he-
Baconian, or
Seems-
he's an anti-Baconian, is what it is.
Seems-
Over in
He's a-
England, you have a debate going, which is Baconian versus anti-Baconian. You can't listen to those people because they're freaking
Okay.
nuts. First
What's
of
a
all,
Baconian?
they're the ones that believe that Francis Bacon was the Baconians are the ones that believe Francis Bacon was freaking Shakespeare. Okay, just one person. then you have freaking the people who are anti-Baconian, which are arguing with them, and they're mostly like college professors and shit that should know better. Now
So Francis Bacon was around Shakespeare's time, yeah?
Yeah. Now
Mm.
the thing of it is was Francis Bacon and Shakespeare's they wrote too much shit to be one person. Like Francis Bacon
Right.
wrote just as much literature as what Shakespeare did.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Well, well, he's this philosopher.
Yeah.
If they're living
Mm.
around the same time, they must have had uh, run into each other, right?
If he existed.
England
Right.
is quite a big, large country.
I
Okay.
actually looked at the
Okay.
map. I was surprised. Like he is right. Like England is a lot bigger than I thought it was
Hmm.
the
It's
other
not as
day.
big as uh,
It's not
well,
as
we looked at the map the other day. It didn't look that big.
well. I
Sorry. Right.
because you
Compared
live
to
in
North
it's not.
America,
It's
sorry.
it's not like I'm going to go up the road and fall into Buckingham Palace or
I
the
mean,
House
you
of
can travel all
Westminster.
around Europe for in like what a day or
Well,
two, right?
I always thought it was like really, really small because every time you see them on TV, like English people are riding bicycles and shit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm
Let's switch over to maps.
like,
We're all over the
England,
vortex.
England is uh, sorry, 130,279 kilometers squared.
now
All
compare
right.
that to the size of France. Okay, that's my whole point. It's actually pretty
Mhm.
big.
Oh, compared to France.
Mm.
Well, okay, okay.
You
So
see what
here's
I mean?
France. Here's France right here.
Hmm.
France looks bigger than the UK.
Now, with me, what I kept messing up on is I really didn't take a look at it. I was comparing the UK to like freaking like Scandinavia up north. It's because a lot of the countries in Scandinavia are pretty big, but
Okay,
Mm.
that was
like
where I was
Norway.
making my mistake because I didn't really look at France and then compare the size of England to France. It's actually a lot bigger than I thought it was.
Hmm.
Are you talking about England or are you talking about the United Kingdom?
Yeah, England
Yeah,
or the
the
UK. England
United
is just a little
Kingdom,
thing here,
the
Yeah.
United Kingdom. Um,
right?
as a matter of fact, if you want to just talk about the entire island, like Scotland included, it's pretty big.
But back
Ah,
back in
in that
back
case,
in
in that case, are you talking about the Republic of Ireland as well,
Well,
which is not part of the
Irish,
United Kingdom?
out of respect of the Irish, I cannot include them into the debate because like Irish people, freaking, well, if I did that, then I'd have to leave Wales out too because I can't
Yeah,
disrespect.
because of Northern Ireland is being a part of the UK.
so Mark, when was the UK formed? United
The
Kingdom.
Act of Union. Good word. There's two Act of Unions, and there's the Act of Union between Wales and England,
Hmm.
and then there's a later Act of Union between Scotland and
Okay.
England.
And see, Scotland is actually the true royal line for the British Empire right there.
Empire, yeah.
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 Okay.
The Wales was incorporated into the or into the Union in 1536.
Okay, so the kingdom was there before that.
Yeah,
So back during
Scotland.
like Shakespeare's days, it would have been the
Yeah.
UK
And
already.
Scotland was 1707.
And see, my whole point is, well, I guess they could have. He could have. He could have made it across that little trench right there into Spain, but I mean, you don't travel that freaking trench way like that.
So
That's dangerous
Bacon
territory.
Bacon was born in London, yeah, and where was Shakespeare born?
Shakespeare was born where the church is at
Stratford.
Avon.
Yeah, Stratford, which is now is that part of London actually?
Mm.
Technically,
Yeah, so
yeah, yeah, it's
they're
part
in
of London.
they're
Yeah,
in the same
yeah,
neighborhood, aren't they?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
so
you,
let's
but you,
Right.
you have to understand too, though, when it comes to London, that was where everybody was at. Like that was the general area back
yeah,
then.
that was where Oxford was and
Hmm.
is.
Actually, no. I'm sorry. Stratford upon Avon is nearer to Birmingham than it is London.
Actually, type it into the map; it should pull it up. That
Where
did.
from Stratford to London?
Yep, from Stratford to London. It'll give you even a line showing you how far away it is.
Stratford is like the suburb of London.
Yeah.
Is
See,
it
Yeah,
technically?
scroll out.
like it's right here. Here's
Yeah, I see
Stratford
it.
and
Yeah,
here's
see,
London. Yeah.
see. I mean,
So
No.
you don't tell
It's
me that like
past.
hey,
It's
you
actually.
can't tell me that
Uh,
Stratford.
uh, no, it's actually in Warwickshire
Oh,
in the East Midlands.
who?
So the
Where? Who was
Cotswolds.
born? Shakespeare was born?
Stratford upon Avon is actually in is in the East Midlands
yeah. So
in the
you have
East
to
Midlands.
you have to
So,
do
so it's
Stratler,
outside of London. Yeah, it's outside of London.
Okay, but
Stratford
it's
upon
still
Avon.
in the neighborhood though, right? Not that far.
What?
So I mean,
Yeah,
Bacon's in London. Shakespeare's in Stratford. You can't tell me that they didn't, interact during
What?
their
What
whole.
if? What if they were the same person? Like, like what if the Baconians were right and said that
All you American conspiracy theorists, man.
I'm
Like,
not a
so the two people there, you go back to their hometown and you can investigate whether there was such a thing as a Francis Bacon born in this town. Then you go to Stratford and find out if there was
and
such a
see
person
that
named Shakespeare born in this town.
and that's also a fiction that a lot of people believe. Like they believe that we have all these records from the 1500s, and that's just not true. There's a lot of history that's lost, like birth
Okay.
records and stuff like that. There's some situations where a lot of people who were famous never even freaking had records of even being born. You know.
Well,
Um,
okay.
so
Yeah, I can believe that. Like back then they didn't keep
they
like even in the 19th century in my hometown, my grandmother even know the exact date of her birth. So,
hmm like a lot of
okay.
a lot of the history when it comes to England period is like myth. Like there's no actual documentation that that says it's true.
but then you have the oral tradition, the oral
Right,
history record.
right, and you have to depend off
Interesting.
that.
Interestingly, the compulsory registration of births didn't happen in the UK until 1853,
Okay,
and in the United States there wasn't a standardized system until 1902.
Hmm.
right.
Well, like even with mail and stuff. Okay, Shakespeare never received any kind of mail when it came to
Metal.
packages and stuff.
Oh,
Uh,
male. Okay.
yeah, like and when he died, he his freaking will in his will he didn't give anybody anything. He gave his freaking wife their marriage bed, and that was it. Okay,
Okay.
and that was it. Like all those freaking cool freaking writings that everybody's talking about, he didn't
Well,
give them to nobody.
well, who did they give it to? I mean, but they didn't become famous until after he died.
Uh huh.
They didn't become popular until they were like worthless
They had
until
to been worth
somebody.
something. I mean, you won't understand. He also owned playhouses too, right?
Mm,
Did he play?
did he?
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that one.
He owned playhouses in London. He was partners with the freaking with what are they called the college wits during the time.
Uh,
They and they they were all in business down there in the playhouses and stuff. And there's another guy. He was a commentator. He went by Green, and he used to always criticize Shakespeare too. But I used to be able to find some information on him, but I haven't been able to find anything here lately on him. It's like it's not even there. There's a
Mm.
lot. There's a lot of interesting stuff when it comes to this stuff. You could just get enwrapped in it because it was so good. I mean, yeah.
Wow,
See,
this is all like biblical Bible conspiracies here.
this stuff's
Even
been
this
going
this
on
this is
for
from some guy.
200 years. Christopher Marlowe, okay? Now, that dude is cool. Now, he could be one of the candidates as one of the writers for it. Christopher Marlowe.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh,
now, he ended up dying in a knife fight, so he he's definitely a good candidate for being one of the writers of Shakespeare's plays. And see right
didn't
there.
we have a discussion about this several months ago in Generals?
No.
I remember having a discussion with you, possibly you or somebody else.
they're they're actually going from college to college teaching this stuff. Like this
Okay.
isn't
Teaching these doubts.
teaching these things about Shakespeare, the Shakespeare
Back
theory.
in July.
Mhm.
I mean, college students are learning about this now because people aren't getting both sides of the story when it comes to Shakespeare. They're all just
Yeah, I
they
don't
don't.
I don't doubt this. This is kind of stuff that the liberals would propagate.
No, this is before any of all this stuff was going on. Like this is like genuine freaking doubts. Like there's a lot more evidence proving that Shakespeare did not exist than what there
Really?
is that he existed. I mean, it's
I'm
overwhelming.
not sure if you can call them it's evidence.
Well,
Um, theories, let's say.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
even in his writings, the nail in the coffin is how big his freaking vocabulary was. Okay, Shakespeare's vocabulary was insanely large, and they've even brought it up as an argument. Like, there's no way one person in one lifetime could have the vocabulary that freaking Shakespeare had in his books.
But
Yeah.
again, this
So
is the arguments that multiple people wrote.
All right. Now I can.
So yeah, Shakespeare was
okay.
one.
So I got a name for these Shakespearean doubters. They're called heretics. Shakespearean Shakespearean heretics, man.
Maybe we should go to the church and bow at the mighty Shakespeare.
That's right, Church of Shakespeare.
Oh my God. That's some funny. That's funny. Now, but yeah, I've always found this interesting. This is the good stuff. Be honest,
Was
right
Shakespeare a woman? It's the videos. Was Shakespeare a woman?
Now that could be liberal. That I don't think I've ever heard anybody say Shakespeare was a woman.
I mean, that's better than saying that he didn't exist.
Not really. I mean, not really. Now, what's his name? Orson Welles.
Yes.
They believe Orson Welles could have possibly been a woman and that he didn't exist.
Okay.
Because, what was it? A woman. Well, a woman was present during the time, and not too many people had contact with H.G. Wells or some shit.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I mean, that that's interesting too. But I never really looked into that
I'm
one.
pretty sure I've seen Orson Welles in a number of different films, and I'm pretty sure it's
No,
him.
not H.G.
H.G.
Wells.
Wells.
Okay,
What's his
He's-
name? The one that did the what was it? The one where Earth was
Citizen
being
Kane and
the one that did
the War of
freaking
the
War of the
Worlds.
Worlds.
War
That's
of the
his
Worlds.
grand.
yeah,
That
yeah,
was his grandson.
Touch of Evil and the Trial,
Oh, so H.G. Well is
Kafka's
Orson
H.G.
Welles'
Well
Kafka's The
H.G.
grandson.
Trial.
Well did that one,
No,
and Orson Welles is the one. Orson Welles was the grandson that did War of the Worlds.
the third man.
War of the
All right,
Worlds. So
right.
now that's cool by itself too. Like
Hmm.
you know the story behind that shit, don't you?
You mean like somebody heard it broadcasted over the radio and they thought it was real?
They all freaked out. Like people were like,
That's that's been proven to be a myth. That was a
Oh yeah,
myth.
yeah, but
really?
That didn't
the
actually
the
happen.
reaction from it, like they put it on the radio, man, and people were flipping out.
No, no, the flipping out thing is a myth.
It's myth. It's been debunked.
Yeah.
So so
There
people
was
weren't like
never mass hysteria.
there was no mass hysteria whatsoever.
No.
Right.
See,
Well,
Okay.
there was a mass hysteria. There might have been the odd one or two people, but there wasn't
A mass
huge
hysteria
amount
of
of
one
them.
or two
Yeah.
people. Okay.
now I had to go through
Yeah,
all. I had to
small.
go through all that shit when it comes to Shakespeare. You have to freaking do something when it comes to this. You said that it was a myth. So, where did you hear this from, man?
Oh,
I've
you
heard
know,
it from different sources.
Because I can hit the Google search if you got like a
Google's
reference.
Google's your best friend.
Just
War of the
tell me
World
where to look.
myth.
I don't know.
Mass panic and hysteria swept the United States on the eve of the Halloween of 1938.
When all too realistic radio dramatization of the War of the Worlds sent untold thousands of people into the streets
I
or
don't know. I
heading for
don't.
the hills. Now, was it a myth?
I
Well,
don't.
you gotta believe the
Oh, it was
BBC,
on.
right?
No. He got that off the BBC. You don't listen to.
Well
You
done. Then. I
don't
like
trust
that.
the BBC.
You don't frickin' like listen to the BBC. Come on, man.
That's right. That's right.
I haven't listened to the BBC in 10
The
years.
BBC used to be great. When I was back home,
Yeah.
like in the 80s, the BBC is the like, most trusted news source that we listen to.
I'm
But
sorry.
because of the communist government, we had to listen to it in hiding.
Yeah, but you do realize BBC is state ran, right? Like,
Well,
like,
it used to
Yeah.
be decent, even though it's state ran, right? But
Yeah.
now it's just
well, you know what the
propaganda.
you know what that means, though, right? Like,
What?
you can't watch anything without state approval on that channel.
What? You mean like from another country?
No, like if it goes on the television screen, the state approves it. If they disagree with it, you don't get to see it. Like, period.
Not quite that. We're not. You might surprise you, but the UK isn't like North Korea or China.
I know that. I mean, I'm not saying you guys are communists, you know. I mean, but still, state-ran television is pretty hardcore, dude. Like, just the fact that you have a state-run television channel. Now, you had other options. Don't get me wrong, because
You
like,
know, every country has some like public
Yeah.
sponsored in America you have the Voice of America.
no, that's not a real channel.
Yeah,
Like
you've got
that's like
not
The
CBC,
the VOA
CBT,
the VOA
CBT,
is like the American equivalents of the BBC.
now you should be talking like PBS, Public Broadcasting System.
TV, yeah, TV.
Now that's more state ran. Now
Okay.
now the BBC though in what is it, Canadian Broadcasting Channel, the CBC.
No, the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation.
Those are state ran, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah,
And
Yeah.
ABC in Australia.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So you guys are being ran by the king, and well, it was the queen at one time, but now it's the queen.
Well, way back when, years ago, it used to be a trusted source of news, right? They were
Yeah, yeah.
impartial, and they report the news impartially.
Well,
Years
I
ago,
mean,
like
I
I
used
I mean,
to
from way from back
up to
home,
about
mine.
10 years ago, I used to be a listener of BBC Radio 4 quite
I,
often. And BBC
Yeah,
Radio
yeah.
4 is a much more political, non-music
I
station.
I liked BBC back when I was in my 20s. Be honest, now like
Yeah, yeah,
I would go like even farther back, like they were good 30 years ago.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
but I mean, a lot of the stuff they put out now is just horrible. I mean,
yeah,
Mm.
exactly.
but now, what was the name of that other channel that you guys had with Benny Hills and all that on there? And like, what's his name? We were just talking about him.
Monty
What's
Python.
been
Monty
the
Python.
secret?
BBC.
No,
Yeah. The Benny Hill. That was on SCTV in Canada. It was in the CBC used to play them.
yep. But
Uh,
they no, they it's the one where it has the frickin' the the building at the end of it, and it's on the ending of the Benny Hill show.
oh, uh,
London Weekend
the
TV.
building.
I forgot the name of it, and it has like
Um, the commercial companies have changed hands so many times over the last 30 odd years,
I can pull it up.
40
The,
odd years.
you mean the Parliament building in London, or
Yeah, it might have been Benny Hill's ending.
I think you're thinking of London Weekend TV.
It's always right there at the end
AWT.
of it. Whenever they're ending.
You can't just.
I gotta mute that. Don't want to get in trouble. Anything English, I am not going to do that because if it's involved with Thames.
Thames? Oh, right, right.
Now
That building.
Thames was a good production place. I think they were.
Thames Street Television. Okay, yeah, Thames Street Television. Was acquired by Pearson TT Television in 1994. Then got merged into another company in 2000. And then into another company. Oh, got rebranded in 2001. Yeah, over the last 30, 40 years, we've seen so many commercial companies come and go.
I think
in
that's
the UK.
actually kind of cool because like you guys have a lot of variety of TV shows too. Like, and there was a lot of shows you guys had I didn't even know existed. Like, I didn't know anything about Shameless until about like maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah,
Um,
it was done by Channel 4. Can't remember the name of the production house.
and that's quality stuff. I'm sorry, but like I know people want to see like the dignified English TV shows and stuff, but like when you're watching Shameless, that's the real deal. You know what I mean? That's what goes on in England.
Well,
And
Well, in some parts of England,
well,
I
yeah,
wouldn't say it happens
it's
everywhere.
like I could imagine how that affected people when that show was on. I mean, it had to have been like just even when it came here to the United States, it was such a big a hit. I think they're still airing.
Funny enough, I was never a fan of that program.
Like I never knew
It's
about
not,
it though. I never knew it was
mm,
out, and they apparently ran for like 15, almost 20 years
possibly, yeah, yeah.
because all the kids grew up and moved away in the story, and the
Then
guy.
I've only seen a handful of episodes.
So I thought that was pretty
Mm.
interesting. I've got to go to the bathroom. I am going to explode. I'll be right back. I'm just, I gotta I gotta be right back. Tan said he'll be back too, so give me a second.
Okay.
they just kicked him off here, didn't they?
Did
Fu-
they?
Or did he leave?
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I
he
just
probably
heard.
had to sign off real quick. I'm still okay. There you go. So like there's other interesting things too when it comes to Shakespeare, like the story on like his inheritance is really really fascinating. I mean, even if you don't believe it or not, you should really read that because like
Okay.
he refused to give his inheritance to his daughter because she was married to a guy who was arrested for burglary. And back then, burglary was like carnal. Uh,
Okay. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like being a homosexual and stuff.
Mm.
And then it gets even weirder because Francis Bacon ended up being taken out of office because he was accused of boogery as well.
Mm.
And then all through this, I mean, just accusations of boogery keeps popping up. You know what I mean? And it's just strange how they end up in these incidents around people who are included into this conspiracy, I guess you could call it. You know what I mean? But
Mm.
the word buggery just keeps popping up. It's like that was their favorite thing back then is to accuse somebody of being a homosexual because that would like screw them up, I guess, in society.
You're talking about Shakespeare's eldest daughter.
Yeah,
He had three. Yeah. Two twins. They
it
were
just
born in 1585, and one, and the eldest born in 1583.
gets more and more just like going down a rabbit hole. The more you learn about it, the crazier the story gets.
Mm.
I mean, the story of Shakespeare by itself is insane. I mean, it's mind blowing. Like people hear about his stories, but they don't really look at his life and what it was supposed to be. It's even if you don't believe it, read it. Is all I'm saying because it's really interesting stuff.
Mm. Okay, you're talking about John Hall,
Yeah,
yeah, physician, um, attended Queen's College, Cambridge in 1589.
now see, he could have known about law because I know they taught law in Cambridge.
Mm. Mm. But yeah, he was a physician, so he'd be studying
Yeah,
medicine.
he wouldn't. He
Mm.
wouldn't even. It wouldn't have been law. Did they mention the part about the boogery?
No, I can't see anything here. Shakespeare.org.uk.
FUK. Oh, in the UK.
Yeah, .org.uk.
Okay.
It's just something, yeah, no, it doesn't say anything about inheritance or anything.
No, they claim that he was arrested, and that's why Shakespeare refused to give his inheritance to him
Okay.
to her, and then when he ends up dying, the only thing he gave his wife was their wedding bed, according to what I've heard.
Okay. Mm.
They mention any of that?
Not the one I'm looking at anyway.
See,
Um,
you've been you've been sensitized. They even
uh,
mention it. Did they mention his death?
uh, it's an entire site just dedicated to him. So I would have to go through a number of different pages to see. Um, and after age married to Shakespeare at the age of 18. Um,
Um, they talk about his father being like a sheep herder and owning his own sheep, stuff like that.
you know,
Cause
not
that's
that I can say, but
cause that's kind of important. That's really a big time in his life, actually, because that's when he started learning how to trade and everything with his father.
hmm,
They'd go and trade sheep hair, whatever, sheep's
oh,
fur,
yeah, as we call it these days.
wool, yeah, sheep wool. They would
Sheep's fur.
they would trade it in London. They'd travel to London all the time, and
Yeah.
that's where they got one of his or some of his signatures and stuff. His father's signatures. So they know
Mm.
that his father existed, and they know that Shake Spur or Spur, how the way it's spelled Spere, I believe. That they know he
Um,
exists,
mm.
but it's
But
not spelled.
I think you're reading too much into that. I think it's just changing language since that time.
I haven't seen anything that indicates a change in the language, though. I mean, I've found absolutely nothing that indicates that.
Well, we don't use words like ye olde tavern these days. I'm not going down to the ye olde tavern. I'm going down to the pub.
Now, in in his writings too, there's always a dot in it. Okay, and
Okay.
when people put those dots in it, it usually means that it's code for frickin' it's a a different name. You know what I mean? They're writing under a different name back then. It was used a lot,
Okay.
and that was another argument that they had because if you look at the original writing, there's always that dot in between Shakespeare and then a dot right between Shake and Spear. So that was
Okay.
another that was another thing that they brought up too.
Mm,
Shakespeare.
never heard of that before, but will be nice.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find a picture of it. Images. Wow. Yeah, Hamlet. Prince of Denmark. They got M.
Mm.
and this is a copy. That's
According to ShakespeareAuthorship.com, there is no significant there is no reflection between the different pronunciations. Um, the, the different pronunciations are just more or less interchangeable.
for the spelling. Then it would just be basically how he spelled it.
Yeah. It's just an interchangeable thing. It's just,
Now, right here, I've got and this is copied, but it's a reprint. But they do have something that appears to be Shakespeare's signature, and they've got other things in here, but this is like right off the text. So I don't
uh,
see them. I don't see them, screwing with it if it's straight off the text. But
ah, yeah, also on the same site, it says there is no evidence whatsoever that hyphenation in Elizabethan times were ever thought to indicate a pseudonym.
yeah, but that's that's
Other proper names of real people were sometimes hyphenated.
and see
So,
where's
yeah,
that where's that coming from?
ShakespeareAuthorship.com.
Now, are they pro Baconian or anti Baconian?
I'll let you have a look. I added the domain name to the chatter.
Because you got
The
to be real careful with that. Because these guys, man, they're nuts. Articles of Oxfordian faith is that there is a great significance in the village. Various spellings of Shakespeare's name. The spelling Shakespeare, according to most Oxfordians, was used to refer to the author of the plays and poems, while the spelling Shakespeare or Shakespeare, which that's the one I've heard, Shakespeare,
mm, mm.
in the versions sometimes promoted by more militant Oxfordians, such as the oh my god,
So it's this regional sort of differences.
militant
It's this common. Yeah.
militant Oxfordians. I'm sorry,
Militant
dude.
Oxford. Yeah, that's yeah, no, mate. I'm a militant Oxfordian.
Yeah.
Wait, what are you showing on screen there, Roger?
This is the Shakespeare signature. I'm just getting a kick out of this. What they just said on here, like they actually claim there's a militant uh, uh, group
Queen of
of
Oxford University.
like militant Oxfordians, such as the Charlton Ogburn, was used to refer to the Stratford man. Now, a milder version of this claim acknowledged that Elizabethan spelling was not absolute. Yeah, okay, so it would have been
Right.
the Elizabethan spelling.
Hmm.
That's where they did the changeover in the spelling.
Uh,
But see, Elizabeth was already dead and gone during this time period. You got to remember, this was King James' time. Um, so
Shakespeare was in Elizabeth's time.
a little bit of both, actually,
Um,
because
um,
King
okay.
James, King James, he he frequented the plays in secrecy, so that he didn't expose the fact that a royal member was going down into the plays.
16.
That's where I found out he was homosexual. You know that, right? King James was gay.
No.
You don't.
Okay. Allegedly. uh, Hang
There,
on, you are incorrect. Shakespeare lived for. Oh, sorry, not Ham. Right. Um, no, Shakespeare was born in 1564 and died in 1616.
no,
Elizabeth died in 1603. So it is June Elizabeth's reign.
no. When did James take office though?
James the First was born in 1566 and died in 16. Reigned between 1603 and 1625.
Yeah, so he would have had a little bit
So
of time there.
yeah,
I
it would be what at the end of
Shakespeare's
the
career.
last 13 years of his life.
Hmm. And I've heard where he actually did sneak out to go see the plays. He was a William Shakespeare fan, so and
Okay.
there's also another conspiracy about that where he was homosexual and like the playhouses, like I said, a lot of people didn't go down there because that's where they always considered the retrobates to be, and when they said retrobates it was usually like homosexuals and stuff like that,
Mm.
like with the royals and the dukes and all that. They
Okay, yeah, there's an argument to say that James was possibly bisexual.
yeah, which um, could be taking place because like a lot of people thinks he's like the one who wrote the King James Bible, and he's not the one that wrote it. He just freaking
Yeah,
you
it
know
was just in its time.
He
Yeah,
commissioned it.
he commissioned it. Yeah, so he
not sure if
wasn't,
he even commissioned that.
and he was into a lot
Mm.
of weird shit. Like he's the one that actually ended the witch hunts and everything because he got involved in it and then started finding out that like the stuff that these witch hunches were doing, hunt, hunts were doing, was, you know, not really freaking legitimate. So he actually even wrote his own book on being a witch hunter and what to look for and stuff. So he was into a lot of weird shit.
Mm.
It wouldn't surprise me if he was a homosexual, to be honest with you, because like homosexuals seem to have that way of thinking. You know what I mean? Like that. Like,
Well, they want to ban witch hunts. Witch.
well, not just that. Like thinking outside of the box. Like, if you've ever hung out
Okay.
with like a gay person and talked to them, like they really do think
Sound
differently.
weirdly, right? They sound differently. They act different.
Yeah, and he was one of those. Now, which James was it that frickin' Cromwell cut his head off?
Huh?
Yeah, King
Sorry,
James. It was his grandson, wasn't it?
that did what?
Cromwell ended up freaking cutting his head off.
Uh, Gus King Charles the First.
King Charles. Yeah. Now
Yeah.
he was what King James's grandson, or was his son?
King James the First died in 1625, and King Charles the
Second.
First.
let's see, Cromwell is where the big controversy comes from because he shut down the playhouses. All right. For some reason, he felt it necessary to shut down all the playhouses when he took power.
Actually, you're right. Yeah. James the First ended his reign in 1625, and yeah, and Charles reigned from 1625 to 1649.
And that's when Cromwell did his deal.
Mm.
So something was
Mm.
going on there where freaking Cromwell cut his head off and closed down the playhouses. Nobody could go.
Mm.
There was no form of media allowed during the first, I think, 6 months. 6 months to a year after Cromwell took power. He shut them down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cornwall being the sort of ruiner of fun, who cancelled Christmas. And, well, he did, didn't he? He made it illegal for Christmas to happen for 5 years or something.
That's crazy. See, I didn't know about the Christmas thing. Like, God. You know how hard that had to have been for the English? Like, seriously, like, Christmas was a big deal for England.
Mm,
Well,
mm.
I guess it still is today. I mean, like,
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Lots of people, yeah.
me and my sister were just talking about plum pudding.
Yeah, Christmas pudding, yeah.
You know, like, that had to have been pretty rough. Wow. Oh, wow. Super Ninja's back. You see
Stupid
that?
ninja.
Super Ninja.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
almost
And that
forgot.
might.
That was your COVID mask, right?
Yep, yep, yep. Super ninja.
And see, right there is what I was saying. Like, you, there you go.
This the real me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so there we go. We got the real view of tan. We got this, the simulated view of tan. Oh, did you guys hear that they finished up on their strike with the SAG after
Who? Who?
the
Huh?
the SAG where they were on strike over the AI and all that stuff. Um, they wanted
Oh, you're
act.
talking about the Writers Guild, US
Yeah,
Writers thing, yeah.
they finally ended that.
Right to skill. Okay.
They they said that they came to an agreement, and the last thing that they had to discuss was the artificial intelligence stuff. But there's going to be a lot of big
Mhm.
differences, I have a feeling, when it comes to the AI. I just found that out night before last. That Fran Dressler, she came on TV and was supposed to have done a big expose, I guess, on it. And when I seen her on TV, dude, she looked tired as shit. Those people put her through hell. Like, you could see it in her eyes, man. She's like, "Oh, I'm just so happy and everything." I'm like, "Yeah, right. You're happy that shit's over, is what it is." Because, like, they've that, and I tell you right now, everybody doesn't believe me, but that's actually big news. You keep an eye open. Like, you know how a robot gets on here and he does the artificial or the AI music and stuff.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And then Moose is even doing the AI pictures. You watch, that stuff isn't going to be happening very much longer. There's going to be a lot of that shut down. I could
I
almost
don't
bet you.
know. We'd like to know the details of this
Yeah. Well,
agreement.
I don't know if she mentioned any of that either, but I'm sure it's going to be coming out. if it wasn't
Uh,
mentioned.
if it was sort of news reports, don't expect any details to be provided.
Yeah, and that plus you got to remember that's a union. That's not technically state and legal stuff. But I guarantee you
Yeah, but
something's gonna
uh,
happen. It's because like that thing we were talking about with Activision and the uh, putting all the games up on the cloud.
there's a
I've
competition commission issue between Activision and Microsoft. Yeah,
Now there's a lot of gamers that freaking honestly believe that like everything's going to be put on one platform, and that's just the way it's going to be. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a lot of
well,
them that believe that.
those gamers should understand that we about competition and that we all don't live in some sort of great Marxist utopia.
You better open up your eyes, buddy. It's getting there. It really is. I mean, it, you could have got away with that back in the freaking 80s and the 90s. You know, don't get me wrong, but right after the freaking wall fell, from that point on, it's just getting closer and closer. Everything. I mean, it's like the Soviet Union fell, and the United States and Europe just became more closer to freaking what the Soviet Union was, and it's like they're gonna come to a balancing
Okay.
point. You know what I mean?
Actually, I'm not sure if I even agree with you on that point because I'm thinking of the sort of movements into 1950s, things like the Frankfurt School of Philosophy or School of Social Economics. Mm, yeah, as I've stated before, the long march through the institutions has been going on for a long, long time.
Uh, Now you're talking about the freaking the
Socialism through both private and public sector
oh,
organizations.
and I do understand that because like yeah, I think a lot of people who don't believe it has a hard time understanding that these plans started way long ago after World War II, and they've been working them up. Like they didn't just come out, you know what I mean, and say, "Hey, this is a good idea. Everybody needs to do it." Like the majority of stuff that's going on in the EU has to do with the corporations. Like everything's dictated through the corporations, and they're the ones that call the shot in Europe. It's not like their EU council or whatever the hell they call themselves. They even set up a huge freaking like a huge building for all these representatives to show up at. I mean, like you guys are gonna have you not a European Union federal government. It seems like how we have our federal government here.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Or,
that's what they do. I was trying to look for. I did have a quote on my
it's like hey, I seen that.
which was yeah a quote that was written that was produced by the creator, one of the founders of the European Commission, or no, the EU.
Yeah.
But I can find it all about how the EU was never meant to be just an economic um, group.
Mhm.
It was always meant to be a political sort of standard.
Wait, so
But yeah,
did the UK leave the European Union?
They're supposed to.
yeah, in 2016.
Uh, in 2016 they did.
They still have to sign papers and be released from the EU, though. Like, there's,
Yeah, there's still arguments about if we are actually still part of the
like,
EU.
they have
Yeah,
to ask. They have to ask to leave the EU. Like, what kind of bullshit is that? You know what I'm saying?
we are
Wait, so
we've technically
in
left.
20 in 2016 they technically left,
Yeah,
but
They have to
the
ask, and to do it, they have to sign the paperwork.
what in the world?
technically, legally speaking, we've left, but there's still questions about things like Northern Ireland.
Well,
Um,
fuck Northern Ireland. I mean,
mm,
seriously.
remember, Northern Ireland
What?
is part of the UK.
Did you hear the shit? No, I mean, seriously. Okay, I said that before. Like, no Irish woman should stand up in the middle of Parliament and frickin' take up for frickin' the EU. That is insane. Especially with all the shit they've been through. You know what I mean? Come on. They're just gonna sell their frickin' freedom away after frickin' all the shit that's happened in Ireland. You know? Seriously. You know how much freedom they've got now with England? I mean, compared to what they had even 30 years ago?
Mm,
I mean, seriously, they've come a long way just within the end of the turn of the freaking millennium. I mean, you don't hear about half of the shit, not even a tenth of the shit that happened in Ireland. Why would you give up what you've got to go back to another freaking dictator? That's the way I see them as. I see them as dictators,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know.
And then, well, you've got countries like Poland, Hungary, and the Czech Republic that's pushing slowly pushing away from the EU at the moment, and
It would be
um,
good.
Greece is a mess, and even Italy, one of the founding members of the EC, there's a lot of arguments.
Well, look at what they did to Greece. Like Greece is so far in debt
Mm,
with them. They're like slave labor. You know, they're gonna have to work their asses off for freaking decades and decades in order to freaking pay the EU for debts that they owe.
that's as if the EU survives
Mm-hmm.
Wait, so
because
didn't Greece declare bankruptcy a few years ago?
I
I
believe
think
so.
so.
But
So the
Uh,
debt, then what does that mean? Are they all of their debts are written off?
well, I mean, I've never really looked at it as like a when in terms of a country, but like with the United States, we have a debt threshold. I know that much, and if we don't pay our debts, then we fall into what do they call that, forfeit or default.
Default?
You know, so I couldn't
what does that
even.
mean in reality? Yeah, what does that mean in reality?
Yeah, no, is that bankruptcy default?
Mhm.
Or I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, like terminologies are different because like
I mean, Germany at the moment is maybe not technically going into recession, but in reality they're in a recession.
they're the ones that started all this shit.
Yeah, Germany and France.
Yep. And I also get shit about freaking the socialist thing. Like everybody wants to fall in line saying that socialism started in like Russia or China and stuff like that, and they don't understand those are the two countries where socialism started, France and Germany. You know, uh,
Hmm.
like
Yeah, 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 yeah. I agree.
Which of the Marxist guys were from France?
well, everybody gives Karl Marx the credit for it, but it was actually a group of them that intermingled in between France and Germany. And Karl
Well,
Marx,
there's Marx and there's Engel and who else?
there,
Frederick Engel.
there was that woman. She she bounced in between them, in between Germany and France, and I forgot her name, but she was pretty famous back then. Um, but that's how it basically formed. Like she was networking between France and Germany, and they were coming up with their ideas.
I mean, arguably, socialism was a byproduct of the French Revolution.
Well,
Arguably,
you know what the true definition for realist means, right? What a realist really is.
God,
Like it's pretty easy. Realists, it came up pretty much right around the time of Enlightenment, and
mm,
real. Actually, I should have done.
actually, yeah, actually, you could argue that
Classic real.
the concept of the concept of socialism actually came out of Adam Smith and John Locke.
No, it was
In
in
the
18. The classic realism first appeared as a description in literary style in 1882. Criticism of Milton's poetry. Its usage relating to the visual arts dates back to at least 1905 in reference to Masaccio's paintings. But that's just in realism for the arts. Um, now, new. Wait a minute. Yeah. Let's see. This is philosophy, philosophical realism. Um, there's logical realism, aesthetic realism, philosophical realism. Um, then Austrian realism might be. Yeah, philosophical is usually not treated as a position of its own, but as a stance towards other subject matters. Um, but as a stance towards other subject matters, like basically that goes into like critical theory and everything. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not treated as a position, but it's got its own stance towards other subject matters. Like they discuss in like critical theory how black people were traded into slavery. You know what I mean? So what they want to do is they want to focus on the United States and slavery rather than the whole subject of slavery as a whole. You know what I mean? Because they want to portray slavery in America rather than slavery in general.
mm, mm,
That's how critical theory works. Um, it's the view of certain kind of things, ranging widely from abstract objects like numbers, moral statements, to the physical world itself. Has mind independence existence, i.e., that it exists even in the absence of any mind perceiving it, or that its existence is not just a mere appearance in the eye of the beholder. That's really weird. So,
actually, rather than arguing that modern socialism came out of John Locke and Adam Smith, I would go even further back and say socialism came out of Thomas Hobbes
Yeah, no, I've heard
in
a lot of people talk.
1651.
Hmm. I've heard a lot of people talk about Hobbes. Then
Mm,
there was another guy. He was really big into religion and everything, and like realists would attack him because of his writing, because he wasn't really big on the realists for one thing, which most religions were in clashes with realism. They didn't like the subject matter they were bringing up, you know.
mm,
So,
mm,
but I remember hearing about Hobbes. Now, the what resulted from realism was age of um, what do they call it? Romanticism, the Romanticism movement. Like
mm.
the Brothers Grimm.
Yeah, yeah.
They wrote about Romanticism, but a lot of people don't know that they were also linguistics um, experts. They actually are the ones that developed linguistics, and that caused a lot of issues with the realists because they started talking about where language came from. Like instead of what's written down, where do the words coming out of your mouth originate from? So they were able to trace it back in history.
So the entire field of entomology.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
it you had romanticism, then you had freaking realism, and that just evolved into what we call socialism and I don't know, anti-socialism,
Mm.
which I don't know, conservatism, liberalism.
Yeah, yeah. Mm,
If you,
classical liberalism.
yeah,
Yeah,
classical liberalism.
yeah.
Now,
Not to be confused with the American modern usage of the word liberalism,
yeah, well,
which people overly abuse these days.
but, I mean, I can't just say England anymore. It's getting pretty bad everywhere now. Like
Yeah,
Bob Bob Dub was talking about that stuff the other day. I mean, like the whole socialism thing is it's even making it to New Zealand and shit, you know?
mm,
Hmm.
mm.
Like it's pretty interesting. And
As we saw with who was the previous prime minister of New Zealand um,
they
during the
were
COVID lockdown period.
yeah, she was talking about
Yeah,
that too.
can't think of her name. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The but the good news is the work party has lost all power there. So the Green Party is probably going to take over
Yeah,
because
but the Green Party is another, well, at least in the UK, the Green Party is just another name for
socialist.
another socialist party. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, I mean,
They have the Green
so,
Party up here in Canada too.
yeah, they're here too.
yeah, extremely left wing.
Well, I said it like this though. I mean, the thing about the Green Party is at least they're honest. You know what I'm saying? At least
Are they? Are they?
they're openly
I,
admitting that they're socialists. That's where I'm getting at. They're
I disagree. They don't claim to be socialists. They just claim that they want to save the world
Yeah,
well, I mean,
we
by
don't
any
claim
means
that here.
possible.
they
So
they
yeah,
openly
I wouldn't say that they've
admit
been
it.
so.
They do admit it. Now, like your workers party, okay? That's the equivalence of our Democrats, okay? Now, the workers party and the Democrats are point blank socialists. Any way you look
The
at it.
Labor Party, you
The
mean?
Labor Party, yeah.
yeah, Labour, modern Labour in this country has lost touch with the so-called working classes.
Yeah, and
That's happened ever since Blairism.
see, but they don't want to openly admit that they're freaking socialists. They want to deny it, even though they're bumping elbows with them and doing the same shit. You know what I mean? And our 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 Democrats, they're trying to differentiate between the word progressive and Democrat now. I'm a progressive.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Come
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
And also the entire concept of socialism has changed because at one point it was all about workers' rights, the sort of working class thing, and now it's all about corporatism.
Mm-hmm. Exactly the thing they were supposed to be against.
Mm.
You
Mm.
know, like that was the one thing that Karl Marx was supposed to be against. And then I found out about
Yeah.
him in his later years. Like in his later years, he was one of those freaking. He was one of those intellectual tarts sitting around at a coffee shop talking with the young ones about philosophical bullshit about the stock markets and shit. Like a lot of people don't know that. Like they talk about how he was young and he freaking you know wrote the social or the communist manifesto and all that shit. But they don't realize when he got older he was a totally different person. He used to sit around in coffee shops and hanging out and talking about freaking the stock market and shit. I just found that out. Actually, they've got a documentary out about it.
Okay.
It's it blew my mind. I like,
Oh, where? On YouTube?
yeah. Well, it's previously been on the TV. You can tell when you watch the documentary that it came off the TV, but it is on YouTube. I don't know if you guys are ever into watching documentaries or not. You're Minds members, so there's a good chance you are. You know that's straight
Watch
to
them sometime.
some, you know, but
Sometimes,
like
Mm.
it just amazes me when people talk about socialism like it's just here in the United States. You know, like it's not the truth. It's actually a lot farther than what people think it is. It's really, really a lot farther. I'm
Well,
even.
they
Mm.
talk. Well, it's because it's surprising that the Americans have let it uh, spread
Yeah.
that.
The same country that introduced the world to McCarthyism has gone down
That's
completely.
right.
Well,
Yeah.
McCarthyism was only what 70 odd years ago.
Hmm.
Um,
Now, if you want to get technical, though, they were, or we were actually the ones who started socialism. Not started socialism, but we started a lot of the stuff that resulted in what we know of as socialism today, like eugenics. You know, and
Margaret
mm,
Sanger.
yeah, stuff like that.
mm,
Um, that's voluntary eugenics that's here, and the difference between voluntary and involuntary is in China you can only have a certain amount of kids. You know what I mean? And if you
not anymore.
Not anymore.
That's
Not anymore.
wrong. Yeah. That's an old thing, man. That's
you know, so
doesn't exist.
I think they once they figure it out, once they realize what they've done, uh, they 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 they, what, they withdraw that pretty quickly. It's like they the generations are dying and they don't have enough labor force to
wait,
replenish.
Mm.
you know that the freaking population in Europe is going sterile, don't you?
You know, Japan.
We've
I've
hit
heard.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard
They're,
Japan's are doing that. Like women are now delaying marriage, in
Hmm.
favor of work.
Well, in freaking Europe, they're having issues where they're having to have different DNA mix and mingle into the European stock because they're literally freaking going sterile. Their
Yeah,
birth
this is
rates are
the
getting.
this is one of the this is one of the arguments for increased migration into Europe.
Hmm. Like
Hmm.
that's what they're saying. So all those European men, they ain't able to get it up and do the job. Now,
But as a country start accepting foreigners into their country, that's bound to happen.
well, I don't know.
Mm.
I mean, I, I'm kind of for me, when it comes to this whole border thing, it's like fucking why the hell did that shit even start? You know what I mean? Like we
What
were,
do you mean?
it's just ridiculous to be honest. I mean, like freaking, you know how many immigrants came to the United States without border control?
Hmm.
Yeah,
But
but
there's
remember, the United States is a young country and it had plenty of space, or a lot of space
Mm-hmm.
for.
But you know what I'm trying to say? I mean, like, when did that shit start? When they freaking opened Manhattan Island up or some shit? You know, I mean, like, all of a sudden,
what you what you mean the border crossing?
yeah, like that shouldn't.
Oh,
I mean,
because of
really,
the
that
modern
shouldn't.
borders. Yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of.
When did they start? I
Yeah,
think
when did they
it, it,
start? That's the big
it,
question.
they've been going for a long time, haven't they? Like, I mean, like the Mexican cartels uh been trafficking people all across the border for a long time,
Well,
haven't they?
that's a crime. I'm just talking
It
about
is, it
people.
is,
I'm just talking
it
about
is.
people crossing the freaking border. You know what I mean? Like, They were there were
Yeah.
shiploads of freaking people coming from Ireland, dude, for at
Mm,
least 200-300 years.
Well, again, if you want to look at it in the wider perspective rather than just modern sort of migration, then America is built upon immigration.
Right,
Mhm.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Um,
But that wasn't that different because the way back then, uh, American was
We're free.
inhabited by the locals
We're free.
and yeah, by the indigenous people,
Well,
and the Europeans were just exploring.
they were killing them off as they went. You know what I mean? We got rid of all those wigs and sent you guys to Canada. Then it was time to take over the Indians because they kept freaking talking about how many white people were coming over to the country, and that's when it became an issue. So you know, which
Mm-hmm.
they had a good argument. A lot of them were worried about it when it was happening because all of a sudden these white people were appearing on their freaking lands,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and they didn't they didn't like Indians didn't consider the land as their property. You know what I mean? So they didn't believe in owning land. They believed that
Well, I mean, no,
you know
no, I, I, I think some of them do. And then they were just in a sharing mood.
they
They want to share the land.
they
But so I mean, so they were generous to accept the foreigners in the share, and then I mean, they there are goods. There are some goods done by the Europeans going to these native people, right?
mm-hmm.
I mean,
I'm going to
wait
be
until
extremely controversial. I'm
yeah.
going
I
to be
mean,
extremely
yeah.
controversial here,
There are
and
there
say
there
say that we
there are
built in
downsides to it,
civilization.
but I'm talking about the plus side. For
Yeah,
centuries, for millennia, they've been living in there with their own, customs and doing things that they've been doing for centuries, and and the Europeans.
They froze you up. Oh no. I'm gonna have to go in and do it again. Yep. They got me. You guys there? Alright, let me pause that real quick. Wow.
Okay,
Right.
yeah, we're here. We're here.
Okay. I just they it literally just booted me off the internet. It had nothing to do with
Oh,
all that stuff. My internet's been freaking out too. Me and Mark had to
right.
go through that the other day when we were doing our first actual episode.
Yeah,
So,
yesterday. Oh,
What
mm,
does that
DB.
what does that do? What does that do to your stream? Did it stop? Did it finish it up? It looks like it
um,
is on. I'm viewing the stream there, and it says it's the recording is being processed. So I think that finishes the stream.
now the cool thing about it is I got this backed up. So that's the one thing
Uh,
I think we
Uh,
made a pretty good decision on is to do a backup video because like
you mean the recording?
yeah. So
The OBS recording?
I was,
Okay.
yeah, the OBS is recording.
I was wondering, Roger, how much storage have you got? Say if you recorded and backed up all of these
Yeah, yeah.
um,
I've got two
things, then you must have
terabytes.
a
Two
massive
terabyte.
amount.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have 1 terabyte, and it's been like 6 years since I've had it. Still
Mm-hmm.
like a little
Uh,
just over half
I bought
full.
actually in this laptop I've been using. I upgraded the 512 gigs storage to the latest Samsung VMA, the
Okay,
990 model.
okay. Well, wait, I do have two.
It's cutting again. It looks like it is. Yeah, it is. You guys there? Man, this shit's getting crazy.
Mine's partitioned all over the place because I'm using it as a boot disk as well. So I've got boot partition, I've got a
Oh
Linux
yeah.
partition, I've got swap partitions, and
Uh,
I've also
do
over
you
provisioned it. So
now that you have like hypervisor? Oh, where was it? The VM. Oh, wait a minute. What is your main partition then? You running Linux?
yeah, I'm running Linux as my only main operating system. Everything goes
Okay.
running any other operating systems are running through VMs. But yeah,
To be fair, man, if I wasn't so
um,
lazy, I'd use Linux too. But I'm just too freaking lazy to do it. Like that's
since he
Well, some of the new
yeah,
Linux distributions are now very easy to install.
installing is
yeah,
So it's like
fine.
point and click, and then it's all graphical user interface. So it's not
Installing
like
it's
you have to.
fine. Just the actual operating system, but like there's other
Yeah,
shit involved. Like
yeah,
all that cool lazy stuff that Windows gives you, you have to
yeah,
do
yeah,
manually. You
yeah.
know.
Like, yeah, how are you gonna?
yeah.
You're gonna have to find an equivalent of the Blender tool.
Now Blender is actually it works really good on.
It's cross
Uh,
platform. Yeah, it's cross platform.
yeah.
Blender's cross-platform. Cool,
There's a
cool.
yeah, Blender's it's got a DMG installation reaching all Macs, and it's got
Okay,
MSI
good,
or
good, good.
executable installation for Windows.
And believe it or not, it's
Obviously,
recommended to
it's got
use
dead
Blender
and
more on Linux than what it is on Windows.
I'm gonna have to check it out. Blender. I've been using. I used to use Sony's Vega Studio,
yeah, I'm
and
familiar with
then
that.
yeah, and then I found hmm, what's
Just
that other
just
other?
remember one thing when it comes to this stuff, okay? Don't waste your money on freaking Adobe Prime. That's just expensive, and
Oh,
you don't
yeah,
have
never
to pay for that. I mean, you really don't.
never bought Adobe.
But just don't ever let anybody convince you that you need to pay for that shit.
What is Adobe Prime?
Okay,
It's
it's part of their SaaS packages. It's not part of their cloud packages.
and it's
Um,
it's all just video edit. You know what I mean?
Adobe Prime is video editing. Okay.
Yeah, and like you can you can get, I'm not going to say 100% the same effect from Blender. You can get the effect you want from Blender, okay? Plus, you have freaking computer generating capabilities. Like you can do
Oh,
CGIs.
right, right. That Adobe, yeah, and they have that 80 AI tool.
hmm
Uh,
Blender does. Now, Blender,
Blend
Bl-
Blender also does.
yeah, Blender. Um, well, more the more important part about it is you can actually learn to do it manually on your own. A lot of this shit everybody's saying so great with AI, man. I mean,
Mhm.
there's nothing different than
Yeah,
like
yeah,
going in
right,
doing it
mm,
manually on your own. And
right,
like,
right. True.
like this AI music shit, like the voices on there. That's nothing more
Mhm.
than the narrators that you get off of freaking your browser. You can go in your browser and freaking put up what is it? Read aloud.
Speak
Just
aloud.
yeah, speak.
yeah,
Put that up on your browser,
that
and
sounds
it's the
it.
same exact voices. Same exact voices.
Really?
Yeah.
Google has the Google Translate has the that voice option that you can use.
Mm-hmm. The same stuff. I mean, and they're pushing it on to people like, oh, this is artificial intelligence and stuff, and it like, are you fucking serious? I went in and I heard that, and I was like, I, I think I sent a message back to Mr. Robot saying I've got that on my narrators, every single one of them. And then if I want to change the voice, I just change the I forgot what it was. It's where you change the frequency, I guess, or make it
Mm.
lower the pitch. That's all you gotta
All
do.
right,
Change the pitch to get a different voice.
right.
Like I can make a chipmunk voice like Mark had earlier. I can do that with my voice. It's easy. My goodness. Hit pause.
Six architecture or PPC architecture.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Because
2015.
if it's x86, then just, or if it's either, it should be easy to install an alternative operating system on that.
Oh, I see. Didn't think about that. Could try
Mm.
that and see. Um, yeah, I don't know what hardware or architecture it has, but it might be interesting to have a look.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Mm.
could be very slow. I have Mac OS 10 on it right now, and I was trying to upgrade to like 12, and it just wouldn't allow it. Let's just say
I
the
think
hardware
Mac
that you
OS
have.
10 was the, yeah, Mac OS 10 was the last x86 version of
Yeah,
OS
Mac
X,
OS
I
10.
think.
Oh hell.
What
Uh,
happened to you, Roger? Did you get kicked out again?
yeah, I no. The internet keeps bouncing off and everything, and on this time it actually gave me the option to join the room again after the internet came up. So I'm going to have to do something. This is, yeah, this is like getting really, really insane. So, oh, I think
Right. Mac OS 10 was the last Pro PC. Right.
yeah,
PowerPC. Okay,
Yeah.
that's probably
Yeah. You
why,
can see.
right? They haven't switched to the
Mm.
Intel
yeah. They keep
architecture.
they keep knocking me
No,
off.
it's ARM, isn't it?
They
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
knocking me off the internet and stuff. So,
Oh, Roger.
yeah.
Okay. Do you want
You,
to get 2 hours sleep before your next live stream?
oh God, yeah. Well, it kind of annoys me they're doing this internet thing's happening. Like
Oh,
it just
yeah, could be
like
a problem for you on Jaffe.
it's
So,
happening to everybody. To be honest with you, I mean,
yeah, what
like
is this going on?
it's
It's like
Mm.
2000 Y2K problem all over again.
oh we we haven't got the worldwide blackout, which I was hoping for. I wanted to
I
be
wish it
able.
was the year 2000 problem again, and then it
Yeah,
could be paid a lot of money like it did last.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So it
Yeah.
would have been nice. It would have been really good. We
Good.
could have we could have all made it big, been warlords and
Tech lords, not tech lords, guys,
Mm.
tech
not
lords.
warlords.
Yeah, it's a gold.
Well, I was thinking Road Warrior kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like the really cool stuff. Like we could take over the world and
Like being like Mega Mind, like Mega
yeah,
Mind.
take over the nuclear silos and make everybody dress in leather with freaking chains and shit and spikes and mohawks.
No, take over the world behind my desk. Be a shadowy character. Yeah.
you wanna, you guys wanna end this before we lose the internet? Because
Yeah,
You
that's
can
good.
do. You can do. Yeah.
you know that
Yeah,
that stream might not come out all that great. I'm not sure. I don't know what's gonna do.
we'll see.
But
Yeah, because we had to restart it a couple of times. Hopefully, it doesn't get overwritten.
yeah, I know.
You know.
If
Yeah.
nothing else, I'll redo this one on top of it. Do a live stream with the recording.
Okay.
Mm.
But
All right. Could be.
okay, so you better
Okay. Let's
go.
do our
Okay.
outro the second time. Okay, everybody. Thank you, Mark Rogers, for joining us for this late chat, part two of our Minds Roundtable, episode 13 on November 10th, heading into November 11th. Oh well, it's already November 11th on Mark's side. So happy Remembrance
Mm.
Day. Not sure what the appropriate, salutary
Yeah.
is for that day.
Not sure if he's the right word.
Maybe it's serendipitous that we're doing this on November 11th, right? Like we've never done this
Mm.
second part of the live stream before, so that's cool. So thanks
Mm.
anybody who is being watching out there, and thanks to anybody who will be watching our replay. And again, thanks Mark in the conversation. See you guys next week.
Thank you.
Good night.
See you guys later.
Mm.